Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leigh and I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, homeschooling mom of two, and advocate for inspiring you to live an unconventional, healthy, holistic lifestyle. It's been a while since I have filmed, but a lot has been going on in our lives and I'm gonna catch you guys up. So many things are changing for us and I'm really excited about the future, but there's a lot of backstory that goes along with these upcoming changes. So I want to talk to you today about retiring my husband Joel this year at the age of 41. This decision was something that has been in the works for a good 9 months or so now, maybe even a little bit longer than that. So let's dive into this story. Before we do though, please make sure you are subscribed and give this video a thumbs up if it inspires you or makes you consider doing things a little bit more unconventionally. Okay, here we go. So in September of 2021, Joel and I got married after 13 years together. We finally decided that we were at the point in time in our lives and our kids were kind of grown up. We really wanted our kids to be a part of our wedding. So we decided that we were going to get married. And right after we got married, we went down to Mexico for our honeymoon with our kids. It was such an incredible vibe. Everything was really laid back, and in the height of everything that was going on in Canada specifically over the last couple of years, we had already started reevaluating whether or not we wanted to stay in Canada. We didn't agree with the politics, we didn't agree with the mandates and the lockdowns. And if you are a fellow Canadian, I'm sure that you can relate to witnessing the rest of the world opening up and getting on with life, and Canada was just hell-bent on staying under lockdown. We're already kind of evaluating whether or not Canada felt like home and if we needed to take a break from that. And that was kind of like the initial starting point of us leading up to Joel's retirement. But when we got to Mexico, we started talking to a lot of people. There was a ton of people from all over the world, specifically in Tulum where we were staying. And we were looking at houses there and we thought, like, how great would it be if we could live like this and eat this amazing food every day and just be a stay-at-home family. Because my husband was running his own company that he'd started years ago, and his days were insane. He would be gone from at the latest 7 o'clock in the morning. He would come home, have dinner, and then he would be working in his office until sometimes 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and just doing that on repeat. And that had been going on for years and years and years. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for his drive has been a result of him working really hard and me staying at home predominantly while the kids were and are still really little, while also being able to work on something and start something from scratch. If it wasn't for his hard work and dedication, I wouldn't be able to pursue what I love. Shortly after we got back from Mexico, we put that idea of buying a place in Mexico aside and just thought, we're not financially ready for that right now. I never wanted to give up this house. I love this house. We had plans to start renovating it. So anyways, in November of 2021, Joel got bit by a tick. And it was a tick bite that happened on his leg. Did the whole doxycycline and everything. Like, we don't mess around with ticks in this house. And we got proper medical care right away. However, that tick bite never fully healed. And there was always this nagging sensation that Joel had. Fast forward a few months, we kept trying to treat it. We were looking at it topically. We kept thinking, like, is there still a piece of the tick in there? Like, we couldn't figure out what the irritation was from. Joel had seen the doctor, and at this point, doctors still were not seeing people in person. So everything was done virtually. We had to submit photos online through email to the doctor, and there was just really no proper care at all whatsoever. We started going on with our renovations in the spring and winter of 2022, and things with his leg where his tick bite was escalated relatively quickly. So it was in March of 2022, it was right before my birthday, he had me look at his leg, and I said, oh my gosh, that does not look right at all. Like it literally had gotten bad within a few hours. So I will insert a photo here of what his leg looked like when we first then decided to start going to the hospital. So it is a little bit graphic. I apologize if you are squeamish, but it is necessary for the story, I'm afraid. So I sent a photo to my friend who's a nurse, and she said, what is causing the alarm? Like, what makes you want to go to the emergency room right now? And I said, it was the progression. We decided that we were going to wait one night, see how it was in the morning. And in the morning, when Joel woke up, his leg looked like this. So just within a very short period of time, maybe 8 hours, we realized that this is not slowing down at all. We went to the emergency room, and he was questioned whether or not he had just recently switched laundry detergents, whether he was using a different fabric softener, a different soap, and I could not believe it, but he got sent home. And then he came back home, and I said, okay, you're going to a different hospital. We need this dealt with immediately. And so anyways, after getting sent home from that hospital as well too, we finally went to a third emergency room, and a doctor assessed him and said, you have a staph infection. And that meant he was on oral antibiotics right away. And basically, to somewhat summarize, the antibiotics were not working. So his staph infection was an antibiotic resistant strain of staph. The cellulitis continued to progress. He was continuing to work on our home and at his job, and none of it was slowing down at all. So he eventually got put on IV antibiotics. We had to have a nurse come to the house, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. We could not get rid of the staph infection, even with however many weeks of IV antibiotics. And he went to another dermatologist and a different allergist and a different infectious disease specialist. They basically, God, it's so hard. The infectious disease specialist gave him one last drug and said, if this doesn't work, I don't know what to do for you. That was the point for me where I was like, none of this matters. The house doesn't matter. Our lifestyle doesn't matter. I kept having dreams that my husband was dead. And I truly felt like at 41, I could lose him. I said to him finally one morning, you have not been able to slow down. You're still working your job. Your phone is still ringing off the hook, despite the fact that you're sitting here and nurses injecting you with these IVs. You still can't stop. And it really broke my heart. And he said, well, what are we going to do? And I said, let's move. Nothing matters more than your health right now. And remember when we were talking about being a stay-at-home family? Remember when we saw people doing that in Mexico? And why can't we do that? Why can't we downsize our lives and make this a reality for us? And you need a break. The amount of stress and pressure that you're under is never going to end with you owning this business and you owning this company and having employees that you're responsible for. And, you know, when you're a business owner, it's not just your own family that you're worried about feeding, it's everybody else's. And I really and truly believe that his inability to get better was a result of stress. So when I said to him, leave your company, retire, even if it's just short term, even if it's just for the kids for the rest of their childhood, and then you can go and start a passion project. You can have the gift that you've been able to give me, which is to pursue something that you love. So he surprisingly said, okay. And it was at that point where we started putting plans into motion and saying, okay, how can we how can we do this in a way that we're living exclusively off my income without it tremendously affecting the kids? We can't afford to stay in this massive 4,000 square foot home with all this property. It's a lot. The overhead is a lot. So we decided that we would downsize, and by downsizing, we would be able to live off of my income exclusively. And we saved up for a few months so that when we put the house on the market, Joel would be able to retire finally. So that happened September 1st, he retired, and we put the house up for sale in August. And it's now almost November, and we're still waiting for this damn house to sell. But the economy has definitely taken a hit here in Canada. The housing market is just not what it used to be back when we originally decided to sell. But no matter what, we're committed to the fact that the goal of this was to give Joel his life back. It was to be a stay-at-home family, and it was to really focus on the things that matter. And for us, that's no longer a big house. That's no longer like all the luxuries and stuff that we are blessed and fortunate to have. You just reevaluate all of that when sickness comes into play, and when somebody that you love is struggling, it's a very easy decision to make. Just really anxious for us to do the next thing and to get this house sold. And finally, Joel will not stop stressing out until this house is sold. But after it's sold, and I'm hoping it's soon, he will finally be able to start healing. He did end up having to go and have a surgery to get the mass that had been formed from the tick bite and from the staph infection removed from him. So it was everything colliding at once. He also became really, really allergic to all the chemicals that he was working with. So it was interesting that once we kind of planted this seed and this idea of being a stay-at-home family and really taking it seriously, was also colliding with the fact that Joel was getting sick, and then he started becoming allergic to everything that he works with, all the materials and chemicals that he works with. He literally cannot touch anymore. So I think that was really the sign that we were doing the right thing, and we're really, really excited for the future. There's more to this story that I will talk about in a later video, but I had planned to put this out. I had planned for the house to be sold in September, and that just didn't happen. So I decided that I didn't want to wait and sharing this anymore, because I did want to wait until the house was sold to start talking about it. But who knows how long that's going to take. That's really and truly where we're at right now in the current present moment, and what has been going on, and why we've been MIA, or why I've been MIA from YouTube for so long. It's just that it wasn't a priority for me. It feels really good that we're doing this. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of that, let me know. I will continue to drip more of this out and explain things. And if there are questions about Joel's retirement, both him and I are pretty much an open book when it comes to this sort of thing. So if you have questions, I would love to compile them and then sit down with Joel and do a Q&A, and you guys can ask him a bunch of questions. Even though he hates being on camera, I think I can sweet talk him into doing one little Q&A video with me. Thank you so much for hearing this story and this part of our lives, and I look forward to sharing more with you about this crazy, wild, and unconventional ride called life that we are currently on. Have a wonderful day, guys. Take care. Ciao.